So, hello and welcome to the 1% podcast. Today we have the legend is Mr. Sam Behar on. Now, Sam is both a very old friend and an ex-client. And I wanted to get Sam back on the podcast because we actually finished up working together probably, we were just saying 3, 4 years ago. I mean, our relationship didn't stop there. We've been friends for a very long time. We've got some war stories from university, actually. But I want to bring Sam back on because actually he's been out in the wild on his own, having done a load of work on himself since 2022. And I think his story is going to be really powerful. And also, Sam's good at talking. So I thought it'd be interesting to hear what he's got to say and where he's been because he's been on quite the journey. So before we kick off, Sam, do you want to just introduce yourself? Who you are, what do you do, a bit about you?
Sure. Yeah, hell of an intro. I'm so Sam Behar. I'm I say a dad of three. That's probably my most important entrance. So I have three boys, two twins and an elder. And I live in Newcastle. I moved here 3 years ago for work, and I work in advertising, marketing and advertising.
Yeah, very busy man, as we would say.
Yeah, a bit busy by design and busy by choice probably as well. So better for me to have something going on than nothing. As
Yeah,
you
you and me
remember
both.
when we worked together.
100%. Yeah. You also like to move house quite a lot as well.
Yeah, I did move house a lot. I've moved house loads. In fact, since you lived in your house, I think I've probably had 4 or 5 houses.
Yeah.
So have moved a lot. And a bit because of mostly because of work, but also just we like knocking walls down. So we thought
Exactly,
we'd
and
keep
keep him
doing that
busy.
a bit.
Well, let's kick off then, and kind of I think the best place to start is like rewind the conversation. As I said, it wasn't from when we first met. We've been known each other from university, which is like early 2000s, I think. So we won't go there. But let's rewind back to when you kind of reached out in a more commercial perspective, me as a coach versus as a friend. What was going on back then, sort of 2021, 2022, that made you think, right, hand up, I need a bit of help and wanted to do a bit of work?
Yeah, sure. I was thinking about this yesterday before getting on this pod, but the because always the point is like, when what was breaking point? What was the point where you think, oh, I've got to make a change? And certainly, I think pretty much for about 15 years, I've been on a diet, sort of always on a diet, and serially like, oh, I'm going to start Monday, and just serially constantly on a diet. And then COVID happened, and when COVID happened, I went on furlough, and then subsequently lost my job, and then subsequently had to kind of run around and try and sort of scrape a living together. Yeah. Pressure of 3 kids. My wife is and was a nurse, so as per lots of other nurses, was just brought into a COVID ward, just kind of manage the crisis. And for want of a better description, I just ate my way through that. Ate and drank my way through that, and I think, and certainly when we were working together, I know we'll get into this in a bit more detail, but when we were working together, we realized that there was this kind of reward mechanism issue that I had. Like everything should have been a reward, and everything I deserved a night out. And I remember thinking, well, I'm not going out, and I'm not spending any money, and so I'm going to be in the house. Everything's miserable. My wife's miserable. Kids are miserable. I'm going to eat and drink everything, all of it. And then I got a new job, and I was on the board of this agency in London, advertising agency in London, and we had pictures taken for the sort of About Us section of the website. And I had this picture taken, and it went on the website, and I thought, I cannot believe that is the size of me. And I remember just thinking, I've just got this round head, because it was obviously just sort of, chest up. And then I had another picture taken of me probably a week later, which was, I was building a metal shed in the garden. And it had taken me 2-3 days to build the shed. It was a really complicated thing. And my wife took a picture of me next to the shed. And I thought, I can't be that. I'm so enormous. I can't be that bloke anymore. And hence reaching out to you and saying, can you help? Can we try and get into what's going on and try and sort it out?
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people there, the COVID, it's funny, some people at first it was like, right, yeah, I'm going to get really healthy and, I don't have work anymore. And so we can be focused. And that was the story for a bit. And then we got locked down again and it all went a bit pear-shaped. Others, like yourself, probably went a bit feral right from the start. But also because you had lots of shit going on. Job's gone, missus is stressed, she's working. So there's all external reasons for this. But then you kind of come out of that behavior and then you're still kind of in that same sort of mindset per se, and you're back into the real world. You've got all the legacy of what's happened, and then working out how to unpick it. But then I think you said at the start, this even beforehand, this constantly on a diet, up and down reward mechanism. And I think that for a lot of people, it's that eating, drinking, whatever, because maybe you're stressed, other stuff. It's a mechanism for decompression and taking the edge off versus having more holistic approaches that are more healthy to be able to, A, look good, feel good, lose weight and be in a good spot. And so like when we engage, you recognize, hey, one of your burning bridges, I want to lose a load of fucking timber. I don't feel happy in that. But also recognizing there's a bit more going on than just losing the weight. And I think you were at a stage where you recognized that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and sort of add complexity to it. I'm a, as you know, and your listeners will now know, I'm an insulin dependent diabetic. So
You are, yes.
that sort of does throw a spanner in the works, because there are consistent times across a week, multiple instances across a week, where I kind of have to eat. A situation where I have to eat, or I
You'll be dead. yeah, exactly.
dead, yeah. And taking insulin injections as I do 6, 7, 10, depending on what day looks like, times a day, does have an impact on your metabolism and how you feel and how you go and you do stuff. So there was, and no one seemed to get that. No one seemed to understand that. So I think that was another part of the problem. Is like, oh fuck it, no one was like, I'm too fat because I've got something wrong with me and I can't deal with it. And everyone I speak to and everyone I try and get help from, they don't really understand diabetes, and they don't get it. And so just whatever. Like,
and I think within that, like, look, it is a difficult condition to manage and deal with, but you can almost use that as an out. Well, I've got that, therefore I can't. And
exactly.
we were like, well, that doesn't have to be the case, right? Yes, it's going to have an impact. Yes, it might make it harder in some cases, but it's not a no. The next person might have smashed the fucking knee up and they can't do any exercise. Well, that's bollocks. They can't do certain types of exercise, right? Oh, look, I can't start anything fitness-wise yet because of that. I was like, no, you can't do something that involves your knee. Do you see what I mean? And so it's kind of opening that net. But I think also when you're in that sort of headspace where you're unhappy with how you're feeling, you're a bit stressed, you're overweight, to be able to look at that objectively, you go, oh, it's just another fucking thing. Oh, fuck. And so for me, it's kind of like peeling back the layers a bit and working out what's going on and doing that. And I think for you, it was showing yourself there's another way we can do things. Because I think for so long, you're like, well, if I want to look and feel healthy, I have to run like a maniac, maybe eat one piece of lettuce every day for a bit and hold on for dear life. And that'll sort everything out. And we were like, nah, you can do that if you want, but it doesn't end well, right? And so it was about kind of relearning a different approach to how you take care of yourself. And part of that's what goes in your mouth and how you move your body, but there's other stuff going on as well, which I think was a bit of an aha, right?
Well, yeah, and it's a spiral, because you just go, well, it doesn't matter, like whatever. This is the situation I'm in. I'm, like, and we talked about this a few times, but as a diabetic, I go to the hospital a lot, not because I've got something wrong with me. Like I don't get ill, but I go for checkups. I go for various things that happen to me. And when I sit in these wards and watch other people that are around me, they've embraced being ill. Like, I'm ill. It's part of me.
My identity.
I'm going to tell everyone, every fucker that walks past me, and I'm ill and I can't help myself. And, can you get me a cab home? And can you help me with this? And can you help me with that? And I sort of, again, sat looking at these people thinking, I cannot, people that are sort of only a bit older than me and they're just absolutely broken. I'm thinking, well, I can't have that. And it's, and I got into these situations, as I said to you, like for 15, maybe you're longer, 20 years, always been on a diet. And I'd get to these situations where I would do that. I'd have a celery stick with a dollop of peanut butter on the end of it, and then try and go 24 hours without eating anything. And then I'd run all over when I lived in Southwest London. I'd run all over Southwest London. Then I'd have a pack of Marlboro Lights to stave the take the edge off. And then and unsurprisingly, really quickly, I'd lose some weight. Like, it would fall off me.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'd get to like week 5, week 6 of that. And A, unsustainable, B, ill, C, diabetes, broken. And more importantly, then you'd sort of stop losing weight. Right. It's not working because your body's just in shock and panic.
Yeah.
Hold on to fat. I'm like, well, I've lost I've lost a stone in 4 weeks, but it's stopped now.
It's completely unsustainable. And the other thing is that mode of method, maybe it sort of kept you at a level with spiking up and down, but that's probably when you're younger. Now you're, at the time, late 30s, 3 kids, 2 twins, house move likely with you probably at some point. Like, very hectic job, senior in your role with what you do, and you work in an industry that's pretty full on as well. Like, all that going on, like eating a stick of celery and a bit of peanut butter and running like a maniac, it's not fit for purpose. So then the narrative is, well, I can't take care of myself. It's impossible. I don't mean just you, Sam. I mean the royal
Yeah.
you, right? But as we both
And
realize,
like
it's not true.
the excuse of time
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
easy. Like yes, I work in marketing and advertising, but I work in sports betting, and that all happens. Your job happens when you get home. So you go to work 9 to 6 and do whatever you want, but then you get home, and then there's 5 games of football. Then there's the Ryder Cup's on today.
Yeah.
There's Rugby World Cup. There's cricket. There's boxing. There's something else. There's racing all the time. There's always these things that happen, and so I'd get home, and then I'd do another, like, work begins again because I've got to do that. And you think, oh, just might as well do that with a beer in front of me, or I might as well do that with a takeaway, another takeaway.
And you deserve it. It's your reward, like we said, because you feel you're working hard, right? And so, but then what you realise is those things acutely make you feel better, but they don't help long term, right? And it's that balance. And also the time piece is that you might not have the time to think what you need to do, running like a maniac, doing your celery crazy crap or whatever. But that doesn't mean you haven't got time. It's just you need time to do something. And I think just relearning the approach to how you actually take care of yourself, right? And it doesn't need to be rocket science. And I think what happened to you, and it happens to a lot of guys, is really busy lives, got lots going on, and I guess they think, well, to take care of myself in the right way, it's going to require loads of time, and it's just impossible. So you kind of go, oh, well, fuck it, I can't do it. Or you'll try something that's unsustainable and go, fuck it, can't do it. So then the default is, it's not possible. And it's like, no, what you think you need to do isn't possible, but we just need to look at a different approach to how you do it, right?
Yeah, it's a mountain, and it's going to take time. There's no like quick fix to it, and it doesn't and the amount of times I'd listen or watch or hear people like me now saying, oh, you got to make a decision. It's day one, and this is the right thing. And I think certainly having, had difficulty with my job, a couple of instances over the last 10 years. And, that sort of saying of like, as long as you're pointing in the right direction, that's kind of like, that really helped to kind of think, all right, well, I've just got to be going in the right place. And I think the biggest thing is working out that you're just in a different stage of your life.
Yeah,
because
that's it.
20s happen, and like, I mean, you and I gave it a right good nudge in our 20s.
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah.
And our 20s happened, and it was amazing. It was brilliant. It was exciting, and everything was off the charts. Living in London and like having a great time. And then all of a sudden, it's like kids, mortgage, life. Like it all got a bit more serious. And I mean, you see it all the time. Like people just cling on to that life.
Yeah.
I think now maybe I've hit 40 and I've made a decision that it's like I've worked it out that I'm content with the next stage in my life. And
yeah, same here. It's taken me a little while to get there, but that's it. You sort of go, okay.
I
think it's when you're putting heads with that, isn't it? Exactly.
Yeah, and the quality of things have to be different. The quantity very different. Like it's not 5 days a week on the Source in London.
Yeah,
it's or in Newcastle where I live now. It's like once or twice a month something significant happens. We go to a great place. We go to a great restaurant. We go on holiday. We like it, all of a sudden it's different. And I think the other thing is being in lockdown with your kids running around you and wife unhappy because she's actually frontline dealing with problem
all the shit, exactly. Yeah,
going on, and being drunk, and there is that sort of situation. And I've had that situation. It's like bedtime's coming. It's sort of 6 o'clock, and I'm hammered.
Yeah,
you're like, okay, like that, like. And I think that just as I said a couple of minutes ago, when you hear people go, "I got to make it," there has to come a decision. There has to come a point or a time. I think for me, it just got so drastic.
Yeah.
Shit, this is a horrible, bad thing.
Not good.
I've got to make a decision. I've got to sort this out. And also the other thing is deciding that I needed help. I needed someone like yourself. Like I need someone to help me because I'm aware. No, I believe, you tell me if I'm wrong. People understand how to lose weight.
Yeah,
It's quite a simple process. It's sort of,
yeah,
you know, more out than in, right? So it's really simple how to lose weight. In the same way that everyone knows smoking's bad, right?
yeah,
Like you don't see someone having a cigarette and you go, you know, it's bad for you. And they go, is it? Like
yeah,
everyone,
yeah. They know exactly. Yeah,
but sometimes you just need someone else to go, why are you making that decision or why are you doing that? And I didn't know what we were going to get into when we started working together. I didn't know what the outcomes were going to be. And I didn't really know what I'd learn or why I would get in the situation. I assumed it would be, okay, here's the exercises you're going to do today and here's the food you're going to eat. And it wasn't that. And because it wasn't that, that's where I've managed to sustain. I've managed to keep the weight off.
well, it's looking at I guess, the fundamentals as to why it's happening in the first place. And there's the stuff you need to do, right? And it's putting both of those pieces together. Whereas I think a lot of fitness coaching or whatever, which is not what I really am. Well, I'm not a fitness coach, although I help people get fitter and healthier. It's it's like it focuses on, right, well, eat this stuff, move more, and you will lose weight. And you actually will. But if you just brute force that on top of a load of shit that's not working in the first place, like you said with the celery approach, that's more extreme, like it'll get you to the point and you'll achieve something. But then when you stop doing that because you can't sustain it or you've not got someone shouting at you to do that thing, well, then you haven't addressed the fundamentals, so you go back to square one. And so how I work and what we did was, well, let's look at what's actually not working, address those bits whilst putting the other bits on top that can fit in with a life that you want. And then I guess the magic happens. So
And people get angry about that, I think, as well. Like,
yeah,
so that, I mean, we talked about it just before we came on, but that post I put on LinkedIn where I had the before and after, I had the picture of me at the About Us section of the website that I was working for. And then the picture after, I think it was about 4 stone I lost in the end.
yeah,
That has subsequently got something like 600,000 views on
yeah, you went viral. It was mad, yeah.
and pretty big. And even then, I was getting I'm telling you at the time, the amount of messages I got from people, fuck you, just horror, like
So what
horrible messages like, oh, you've only done this because you've got enough money to get a coach. You're like, well, like, no, that's not the situation. I just made the decision that I was
you
not.
made a decision you wanted to change, like, but it's not like I we worked on stuff to help you understand, but like you like what happens now when people do these posts is, but I think it was maybe just maybe because people are angry coming out of COVID. Like most of the time, those kind of posts when the clients do them for me now, people are like, "Oh my god, I had no idea. Thank you for sharing it. It's empowered me." Because that's the story, right? It's not you're a bastard because you've used a coach. Ultimately, some people get butthurt by that because they don't like the idea that you used a coach to do it, and actually it shows their vulnerability because really they maybe can't take action themselves, and that's an easy thing to label and blame. But like I just said then, these days when clients do posts like that, they don't get such a visceral reaction like that. Most people are like, actually, rightly so, well done. Here's someone who was struggling, who's taken ownership, and they've invested in themselves. Whether that's to it with a coach or not, isn't it a nice story? Which would be the more human reaction. I think maybe there's a lot of pissed off people coming out of COVID.
Yeah, I got some really hard. I remember
You
this
got some
one
nice
guy,
messages, but you got some
nice messages. I got hundreds of messages from that post, and this one guy wrote, "You're still a fat bastard."
So why would you say that? Like,
Cheers,
yeah.
mate. And he was like, I think he was a teacher or something. You sort of look him up on LinkedIn. You're like,
Yeah.
Christ.
Why would you say that to somebody? Yeah. But no, like, because what interesting now, like, and most of the time when guys do those posts for me, they just get an overwhelmingly positive response because actually that's the case. So I think you might have been unfortunate. So as we sit today, then there's been a good few years since we worked together in a commercial sense and a coaching sense. I guess what have been the key takeaways and learnings? And I know that there's been a lot going on, right? So could you speak to that?
Yeah. So, like, I saw someone weirdly. I played golf last week in London with someone I haven't seen for 10 years, and and he went, oh my, like immediately it was, oh my god, like you're not fat.
Cheers.
And I was like, oh, cheers, mate. And I've, like, as I said, I've said a few times to people, I've lost 6 stone in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I've actually done is I lost 4 stone, I put 2 stone back on, and then I lost 2 stone again. So I had, like, there was definitely a wobble in the middle, which I think is also like part of this journey, is that it wasn't simple all the
Yeah.
time. But I think where we sit now is I've definitely got reward-based coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Number one, I think balance is critical to everything. And like, to give you an example, like, I'm a massive sports fan. I'm a massive golf fan. Today is day 1 of the Ryder Cup. Now the Ryder Cup is a very sacred 3 days in my life. It's a time where I usually sit in a pub with a betting app, and avoid my family for 3 days. And we all know it happens every 2 years. This is the situation we're in. And if I think about the Ryder Cup now, I am I've got some exercising, let's say, to do this afternoon. I'm on a run this afternoon. Completed the Great North Run 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
A game of squash tomorrow morning, and then so that the first drop of alcohol that's going to pass my lips is going to be when we're in the back nine, if you like, of this tournament.
Versus the morning of.
Literally now, be like, I don't need to let's get a whiskey in.
Yeah.
And even it's hard, right? Because even now it's, I know this might not go out anytime soon, but even at 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, and singles are going to, sorry, the foursomes are going to go out maybe in 2.5 hours. I have got a flurry of text messages from people that I haven't heard of for years, because they know Ryder Cup's on. Sam is booze hound.
Yeah.
Drink his way through this, and he's going to give us entertainment across the 3 days. He's going to be pissed by 3 o'clock every afternoon. And I think where we sit now is that I can just manage the balance of
that. Exactly. Yeah.
My HbA1c, so my long-term blood glucose readings that I get from my diabetes is significantly better. My life expectancy results gone up significantly.
Amazing.
I'd still like to get a bit more vitamin D, but aside from that, I'm a Peloton wanker. So the 3 things I got during COVID was a lot of weight. I got a dog and I got a Peloton. So I really all the boxes.
All the boxes.
But my Peloton is amazing for me, and I know it's something that not everyone can afford, but it's amazing for me on the basis of because of my diabetes. I can't just say like I'm playing squash tomorrow morning, and that involves a day of planning to be ready to play a game of squash at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Whereas if I can go and exercise and my blood sugars are right and everything's fine, I can just go now. I can go instantly, and get on the bike for an hour, and that makes everything better. So that was my route. I didn't like the gym. I didn't like leaving the house and going to the gym.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the things we discussed as well. Some guys say that to me. They go, well, I don't like the gym, therefore I can't be fit. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, who says you have to go to the fucking gym? Like, there's a lot of other things you can do. And I think we were showing you that as well. And so, like, you have got a Peloton, that's fine. And it's easy, quick, and it works for you. So that's great. Use that, Does that mean you need to have a Peloton to be fit and healthy? Of course it doesn't. But it's something that works for you,
Yeah. And I've worked out, like, like talking about some specifics, for instance, like I don't eat breakfast, and I don't eat breakfast, not because I've seen 1,000 TikToks where people say you should have intermittent fasting and this is how you should do things, but just because of my diabetes, I could eat something at breakfast. It could completely skew my blood sugars, and it could take me 6 or 7 hours to get back to level, and then all of a sudden I then spiral a bit and go, oh God, like I'm on 1,500 calories and I haven't eaten dinner yet. So yeah, like you just kind of get into this routine and this sort of coping mechanism of how to handle these things. And also I realized working with you that not everything is a reward. Not everything needs to be a reward. But great, I've made it to Friday. It's time to,
Hey, yeah. I think a lot of us have those things as well, be that alcohol, food, booze, some people porn, shopping, drugs, whatever. But if you're doing that on repeat, I mean, of course, those things can cause acute problems, gambling, whatever, right? But parking that part, it's like, well, why are you doing that in the first place? Why do you need that? Well done, or I'm knackered, or I was shit. That would indicate to me that things elsewhere aren't set up or serving you in the right way. So we address those bigger fundamentals, and that's exercise, that's nutrition, that's balance, that's boundaries, that's being present, all that sort of shit, the stuff we need to do in life. Well, then you don't feel the need to be rewarded as much. It's like, okay, well, it's Friday and I'm happy it's Friday, that's it. Like special occasions, Ryder Cup, well, I'm not going to get battered for the next 2 days, but on the Saturday night after squash, let's get stuck in. And it's about that, again, finding that balance. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, but a lot of people operate in that binary black, white, either full on or zero. And it's been able to find that middle ground. And when you're 20 in your 20s, like we said, that's fine. You can fucking be all or nothing. It doesn't really matter. Like when you're 40, got 3 kids, house to run, mortgages, all the rest of it, there needs to be a requisite. I mean, you can go all out if you want, but it just doesn't serve you, you know?
I think there's also like there's new things that land when you get a bit older, like you know, brain fog that lands at work. I found that was a big deal of being fitter and healthier, losing weight, eating the right things. I'd be so angry with people that I worked with, and you come onto a conference call and think, oh fucking, I got to deal with this dickhead now, like, and 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 don't get me wrong, I did used to work with a lot of dickheads, but at the same time, and you think he's going to say something stupid, and then 5 minutes in, there he is. He said it. It's double stupid. It's quadruple more stupid than I thought it would be. Whereas all of a sudden, when you get rid of a bit of that brain fog, you think, all right, why is Dave, or insert whatever Dave said that? Okay, Dave's probably not thinking about it in the right way. You just kind of become a better human.
Yeah, more objective. Well, we discussed this because we had some chats like that. You're like, well, what about if you thought about it in this way? And maybe he's there. He's like, okay, he's still annoying, but fair point. But it allows you to have that just that bit of a degree of separation. So before you react to the silly thing that's been said, you can at least be like, oh, well, that's maybe a bit of benefit of the doubt. Like you said, you'd just be better in those interactions. I think something you said as well, and just to be able to have this perspective, was like you said, some junior girl was working on your team, and she was you or someone was stressing about something, and she went, "You know what? Though, there's no such thing as a marketing emergency, really, is there? No one's going to die." And you were like, partly shut up, but partly fair play. You know what I mean? Like,
there's no such thing as a marketing emergency. It's one of my favorite things. In my last role, I used to say to people, we had a casino proposition as part of our business, and I said, it's just spinning fruit on the internet, guys. Yeah. It's like, don't worry about it.
And at the same breath, your wife,
like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
And the perspective as well, because you've got your wife working in A&E or in COVID, people are literally dying. Like that's an emergency, right? This isn't. And so, of course, we've all got big hectic jobs and stuff, and it's important, and you care and you're diligent, but just being able to have some of that perspective and go, just calm down, right? It's okay. But then this is where this whole thing becomes holistic, because if you're letting work cannibalize you, getting pulled into all these conversations, everyone's a bastard because you're feeling shit, well, then you need that reward at the end of the day. And that makes you feel better. But then that doesn't make you feel better, really, because it compounds how you're actually feeling, and it perpetuates, and you get stuck in these feedback loops. And so, again, it's about taking a step back and just looking at the moving parts and setting them up in the right way, right?
I think there's also like, there's, I mean, you don't live like a monk, do you?
No, not at all.
And at the same time, even last weekend, out for lunch with the kids, and the kids are being horrendous, and as and it's just, or dinner. I think we were out for dinner. I went for pizza on a Sunday night, and Sundays are sort of sacrilege day for me normally, because it's like, look after yourself, like be okay, start the week in a good spot, and the kids just arseholes, and so I had. I had a beer with a pizza, and pizza, for any diabetics in the room, is a bad thing to eat. It takes a long time to calm down the fact carb load. And then had a glass of wine, and then came home and was like, fuck it. I said to my wife, let's have a bottle of wine, and had one glass of wine.
Nice.
And then just kind of went, all right, okay, like, I don't need the other 3 that are in this bottle. And we're just going to put the bottle aside.
Yeah. And future Sam in the morning will thank me. Monday morning Sam will thank me.
I've had a little, wheels have come off a bit, and I've had a nice meal, and but I know what happens to, the 18-year-old or the 25-year-old Sam in this scenario, which is, we finish that bottle of wine, we then go and find another thing to drink.
Yeah.
And then I make myself a Nutella sandwich at 10 o'clock. I can understand how this runs. And so you just and you just need to, I don't know, maybe it's just partly growing up as well.
Yeah, but it's also that's just balance, right? It's like you've been out with the kids, they're being a bit frustrating, you're relaxing, you have a pizza, bit of wine, have a beer, oh, let's open some more. You go, hold up, I've enjoyed this, I don't actually need any more. I've done enough times, enough work on myself to understand where I'm at. I wanted to wake up in the morning feeling good, and that's it. And so, but also not Because I think the old school mentality would be, well, I've done this, so it's all fucked now. Fuck everything, so I'm going to really fuck things up and go like that. It's just like, no, none of that has to happen. You've had a nice time, a nice beach, you enjoyed a glass of wine. We can stop. It's okay. Wake up in the morning, get on with your life. You know.
Well, absolutely. And like when we lived in London, because we're so poor, I had to get from West London to East London on two buses because I couldn't afford the tube, and like waking up at 7:30 in the morning when we'd been to bed at 4,
Yeah.
and just shake it off, have a shower, sit on a bus for an hour and a half on a like wobbly, bouncy bus.
Yeah.
And because you had that and it was fine, and then you get to work, everything will be fine, have a pint at lunchtime, and you're back in the game. But there's no way that can happen now. I'm physically not built for that. I did the Great North Run 3 weeks ago, which I banged on about a lot. But I did the Great North Run and sat down afterwards, sat in my house afterwards, and was like, I can't stand up. I physically can't move. I actually cut my mouth because I was biting my lip so hard trying to like get the last. Like I physically can't do it. I'm not as good as I used to be, and so you just got to adjust.
It's just being comfortable with that. But then the result is we sit here today, right? Healthy, happy, in a good spot, got lots going on, both with business, family, and all the rest of it. But actually, you being the fulcrum of taking care of yourself and having those tools to do exactly what we've just described in the wild, that for me, that's what it's all about. Because life isn't perfect, shit will happen. Like you said, you were purely from the weight perspective, lost 4 kilos, put 2 on, without any interaction with me in amongst that. Stopped yourself. What's going on? Come on, let's just have a look again because you've done that work and crack on. I think that's the thing. When you look at it fundamentally and you know what you've done, you can't unlearn that. And life might get in the way sometimes and pull you away and all the rest of it. And that's normal. And that might last a couple of days. Sometimes it might last a bit longer. But you can always go, fuck off a second. Let's just stop. What's going on? And pull it round. And you did exactly that, right? And here we are, So, and I think for me, that's what it's all about, really. It's being able to understand and be accountable to yourself and recognize what you're doing. None of us are perfect. We don't need to be. But then that actually results in you feeling in a good spot consistently over the last, 3-4 years,
Yeah, and I think to anyone listening to this, there's got to come a point when you make a decision to make a change, and I also think it's tough sometimes, and it's also as tough. Some of the you watch content that you put out, for instance, and you're in great shape. You've got your life together. You've got this great business, and even that might feel intimidating to people. I'm so far away from that, but just little baby steps, coming to terms with the fact that you can't lose weight overnight. That's why I can't stand all this Monjaro bollocks. It's like, I don't know what your position is on that, but I can't stand watching people just cut everything out and look like skeletons and ghosts with their face falling off. Whereas, and I'm sure if I'd made the trigger now to make a decision, then I would have looked at that. I mean, I don't know if you can do it as a diabetic, but even if you could, I would still have looked at that, gone, well, hold on, I can cheat, I can skip. And the fact that I've done the work and gone through it, and I'm in a much better position and can get into a 34-inch trouser, it genuinely is a good thing. That is part of the gig.
But also the self-esteem that comes with knowing you've done that. No, so on the weight loss bits, I think they are really powerful and very helpful. I have some clients that use them, but the but is, you still need to do all the stuff we discussed, right? So they can very much help with the food noise, the balance, and they're really powerful, right? But if you don't change any of those underlying habits and behaviors and your mindset around what you were doing in the first place, A, you'll have to be on them long term, but B, you're not going to be healthy underneath because you haven't addressed some of the issues that's been going on. And so, like anything, it's not a panacea. It will help you lose a chunk of weight, but if you're still doing Nutella sandwiches and drinking loads and stressed out your fucking mind and all the rest of it, you'll be thinner, but none of the other stuff will have been addressed. And so I think used in conjunction with some good behavior change, working on yourself, all the rest of it, great. It's just it's an extra tool. But I think they're not necessarily a panacea just to do that if you don't look at some of the other fundamentals, And so, but ultimately you did the work yourself. So that's what it's all about,
Yeah, I think that I'm lucky to be in a situation where that took place. And I think, like some of the, some of the things that are just ingrained in my life now is from working with you and from doing that work. I'll weigh myself every morning, and regardless of how bad the day before has been, I'll weigh myself every morning, and you want that to be, now I'm at a situation where I've got a little bit more weight that I want to lose, but I don't have to stress about that happening in 2 weeks time. I can do it over 3 or 4 months.
Well, you're in control of it, right? And it flexes and flows with the seasons of life and what's going on. And so, like, it's not about I want to be shredded, but you've got the tools to understand what you need to do, and you can sort of dial it in and or up and down as and when appropriate, right? That's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
Well, Sam,
Absolutely.
look, I know you're a very busy man, and I don't want to take any more of your time up, and I know we both can talk for England, so we'll leave it there. Before we get off, any closing thoughts or comments for anyone sitting listening? Maybe they were feeling as you were, a few years back, as we described it. What would you say to someone like that?
I think to I know what that feeling is like, of like, something's wrong, like I should sort myself out, I should get to a position where I want to make a change. I think to anyone that wants to do that, just really slow, steady changes are what works for me. It's, this, like, I'm going to go to Sports Direct, buy some gym clothes and some running shoes, and I'm going to just like get off my ass and make this drastic off a cliff change. I think that's where these like diets go wrong. I think to people that get to work with someone like yourself that can dig into some of the underlying reasons as to why you're in the situation that you're in. I would wholeheartedly encourage people to do so, and to speak to you, and to work with you. And I think that just get yourself pointing in the right direction. That's all I can say. Is just like, as soon as that really helped me, and I can't stand these sort of motivational lines on Instagram or whatever, but that really helped me think, okay, I've just pointing in the right direction. That's it.
Yeah, being directionally correct, right? So there's my North Star. There. It'll be a bit wobbly, but as long as we're keeping towards that, that's it. No, I would wholeheartedly agree, mate. Well, look, it's been a pleasure chatting, Sam. I love you to bits, mate. You're a really good friend, and also an ex-client legend as well. If anyone is listening and they would like any help, they want to talk to me about how I can help, like with Sam, drop me a note in the DMs or whack me a comment. Otherwise, we'll see you all next week. Thank you. Cheers.